right to Big D.
They're going to hope they could stay a little bit longer. Let's go to the Final Four. We got a big basketball weekend this weekend. The Final Four is going to take center stage in Indianapolis on Saturday night with Michigan and Arizona as the nightcap, and Illinois and UConn as the first semifinal game. Speaking of UConn, here's their head coach, Dan Hurley, talking about the mission.
We came here for rings, not watches. You know, everyone that comes to the Final Four gets a beautiful watch. You know, but only one group's going to get a ring. We don't hang banners for Final Fours at UConn. We hang national championship banners, and if you want to hang a banner, you got to get your eyes off social media, get your face out of the phone, and get locked in on Illinois.
Speaking my language this early, talking about jewelry. I love it. Jay Will now joins us from Indianapolis. And look, the Huskies have the fourth longest odds right now to cut down the nets. Jay Will, good morning to you. How surprised would you be if UConn wins it all?
I would be surprised. I think talented-wise, out of Illinois, Arizona, and Michigan, they're probably the least talented team. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised. First off, a couple of things, S.A., and good morning, Shay. I love how, we come here for rings, not watches. Isn't every team here at the Final Four coming for rings, not watches? Like, and every team is coming there to win a national championship. But there's something about the way
you got a problem with him saying that?
Says things. No, but every team comes there for that, Stephen A. What do you think I'm coming to the Final Four?
He the coach of UConn.
I'm so happy I'm going to get a Final Four banner. Yeah. So what? Tommy Lowe is the head coach of Arizona.
Listen, man, but he ain't John Shire.
So
he ain't Coach K. He ain't trying to be political. He letting you know how he feels. That's all. That's what's the problem. What's the problem? Listen, are you salty? Are you salty because he said Duke home? Are you still salty about that? Listen, I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Are you still salty he said Duke home?
I don't appreciate you trying to make it personal. I don't appreciate you trying to make it personal. Don't make it personal right now. Stay objective, damn it. Stay objective. There's no need for little subtle jabs here. Sorry, the weekend. Come on, man.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Ain't nothing wrong with him saying that. It ain't nothing wrong with him saying that. I mean, I understand, Mullen shot sent Duke, I'm sorry, not you, but Duke home. They sent Duke home, okay? And they're home right now. Man, you know what? Everybody come to the Final Four to get the chip, right? But he said it, damn it. I like it. I ain't got no problems with that.
Okay. Well, first off, I have my championship. I'm okay.
Oh,
okay. Let me say that.
Okay.
Secondly,
they didn't deliver
all I'm
for
going
you.
to say. Let's get back to the point.
Get back to the point.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised?
I had to go get it. We all had to go get it. You're right.
Let's go. Okay.
Go ahead, Stephen A.
Listen, man, I have no problem with it. I do think that UConn may be the least talented of the crew, but the coaching of Danny Hurley, being opportunistic in the moment like Mullins was, stretching a game longer and exploiting your weaknesses, I think helps. I think that UConn recognized that you had a cat in Caden Boozer who's not the most experienced dude in the world, okay? Evans had just been coming back from injuries a game earlier or so ago. So you saw something to potentially exploit as you was creeping back into it. And you saw that, particularly when you were 19 down, you got to get up in them and make it a physical fight. And the referees assisting in allowing that to happen, which is something one would argue a lot of ACC schools ain't accustomed to these days, compared to the Big East anyway, with St. John's, UConn, et cetera. I just think that when I look at Dan Hurley, Illinois to me is a more talented team. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Illinois beat them. I'll admit that. But if there's a coach that can pull a rabbit out the hat, keep the game close, and ultimately exploit a weakness that you see from an opponent, it would be UConn. So the word surprised, I think, is a bit too extreme when it comes to a Dan Hurley coached team that ain't against a Big East foe. I'm not sure UConn would be here if they had to go against St. John's in the Elite Eight instead of Duke because of the familiarity factor and the way St. John's stomped them in the Big East championship. And Dan Hurley said himself, Jay, if you remember, he said, we're one of the best teams in the nation. This is our time of year when we get to go against teams that are not in our conference. That was a big statement on his part because he was conceding essentially that the obvious. Going against a team in your own conference who's very familiar with you makes things a lot more difficult than we expect to experience during the NCAA tournament. None of these teams in the Final Four are Big East teams, but UConn. And I think Hurley likes it that way, and I think it's elevated and buffered this level of confidence.
All right, so where you are right now, Jay Will, you're in Indianapolis. Monday is the national championship game. What two teams do you still think will be standing on Monday morning if we talk to you then?
I think it'll be Arizona and UConn. Something about the way Arizona competes defensively. And I'm not saying that Michigan can't easily be in the Final Four or the national championship. Same with Illinois, because they could be. But, I've been on Arizona since the beginning of the season. Now, look, Michigan has the highest ceiling offensively, and at times Arizona can get stuck. But the one thing you've seen, Elliot Cadeau, who's had some challenges over the last several days with being hospitalized, and I'm glad he's okay. I feel like beating Michigan is taking out the head of the snake, and it starts with Elliot Cadeau. And if you can do that, and if you can limit their three-point shots from them finding a rhythm and make the game clunky in a half-court game, I do think there is an advantage to Arizona being able to do that. And back to Stephen A's point, I think Illinois, the more talented team, Keaton Wagler, exceptional talent, and David Merkovich, also exceptional talent. But there's something about this destiny feel that UConn has for its third championship in 4 years that it feels like that will be ultimately the championship game, and it'll come down to the wire for both.
Okay. Stephen A., you want to jump in here, or you can save your picks for later?
No. I mean, listen, this is television, and Jay is busy because, he's in Indy, preparing for Final Four coverage and all of that stuff, ready to do the exceptional job that he does. So he has to give his picks right now. Since I'm not going to be there, I'm going to wait until the end of the show to reveal my prediction for the Final Four. I'll wait until the end. We got an hour and 40 minutes left.
Okay, very good. I will say this,
As a true TV veteran would do.
Exactly. You know me and my Big Ten fandom.
Message.
I will be upset if the Big Ten does not win another championship. It's been since 2000. We got two teams, 50-50 chance. He's not even listening to me because these two are just cracking up.
I'm listening to you, Shay.
They're not listening to me. You two are making jokes.
I'm listening to you, Shay. Shay, I'm
Gosh.
listening to you. I'm listening to you.
You two text offline. Coming up here on...
Of course, the women will start tonight. We'll get to them a little bit later. I've got Jay Will with me here to look at the men's Final Four with tips off tomorrow night. Illinois taking on UConn in the first semifinal. And not surprisingly, Connecticut coach Dan Hurley is locked in on winning his third title in 4 years.
We came here for rings, not watches. Everyone that comes to the Final Four gets a beautiful watch. But only one group's going to get a ring. We don't hang banners for Final Fours at UConn. We hang national championship banners, and if you want to hang a banner, you got to get your eyes off social media, get your face out of the phone, and get locked in on Illinois.
I got to tell you, I like it. We come here for rings, not watches. Jay Will, UConn, I'm not sure. What's that?
Play the Final Four to win the Final Four? Doesn't everybody play the Final Four to win the Final Four and to go there to win a national championship? Isn't that what all four teams are doing?
Yes, absolutely. And yet somehow he says it better than most people generally say it. Looking at it, and I don't know if you'll agree with me. It feels to me like they may be the least talented of the four teams that are still standing in this tournament, but they have a little bit of a team of destiny feel. I mean, after what happened on Sunday, kind of hard to bet against it. What's the biggest factor you think in that game tomorrow night, Illinois and Connecticut?
Well, I just think it's the fact about defensively UConn being able to guard the likes of a guy like Keaton Wagler. Keaton Wagler is not the Cameron Boozer, some of the other big names, A.J. DeBonta, Darren Peterson, names that we've heard in the NCAA tournament or actually in the regular season. But he's a top 10 NBA draft pick, and he has range that extends, beyond the three-point line as soon as he walks in the damn building. And I think getting up underneath him and making life difficult for Keaton Wagler will be one of the critical reasons if UConn has a chance to actually win this ballgame, Greeny.
All right, so UConn and Illinois is the early game, and I don't want to say that anything feels like an appetizer, but boy, Michigan and Arizona, I mean, Charles Barkley said it was like Ali Frazier, and it does feel a little bit like that. What do you think will be the difference? They've been the two best teams. What will determine the outcome between Michigan and Arizona?
I got two things for you, Greeny. Number one, I think Arizona has relied upon its defense the entire year. You're talking about playing against probably the best offensive team in the game of college basketball that's been averaging 90-plus points per game in the NCAA tournament. Yaxo Lindenberg, Elliot Cadeau. I always think it starts with the head of the snake. It's Elliot Cadeau, the transfer from North Carolina, that is playing by far his best basketball of the season. And if you could take him out of the game, it makes their offense a little bit less efficient from the perimeter. But I will say this, Greeny, overall about the picture of the game and about the Final Four. Everybody is stating that Michigan-Arizona is the NCAA championship game, essentially, right? And it's setting itself up, Greeny, for one of these situations that the winner of that game, the dogfight it will be, the mental fight that it will be, the physicality of that game, the winner of that game, it just does sets itself up for the winner of the UConn-Illinois game that's going to be underlooked, that nobody's going to be really looking at, to have the best chance to win the national championship game. We could be talking about UConn here on Tuesday winning the championship game because of the physical and mental fight that Michigan or Arizona have came out of that other Final Four game.
It's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, there's sort of a little bit of a hangover effect from what might feel, especially if the game plays out to be as close as it looks like it will. And look, historically, we've seen a lot of big upsets in the national